There are places in the world where the landscape never seems to stand still, as if the earth was still shaping it over the years. In these spaces, water is not just part of the environment, but a force that molds, connects, and gives character to the land. Waterfalls reflect this constant dialogue between rock, climate, and time. This journey proposes discovering 13 of the most striking ones, observing them without haste, understanding how each expresses the identity of the place that surrounds it, and how the environment transforms the way we perceive space. Number 13. Tugela Falls, South Africa. In Royal Natal National Park, the Drakensberg Mountains rise to form a natural barrier that dominates the horizon. From the top of these plateaus, the Tugela River begins a stepped descent that, taken together, exceeds 900 meters in height. More than a single drop, the waterfall appears as a sequence of sections, where the water disperses, comes together, and separates again, adapting to the terrain with constant elegance. As the water advances, the surroundings change with it. During the rainy season, humidity envelops the valley and creates an almost ethereal atmosphere, while on clear days, the light highlights every fold of the rock. Marked trails allow visitors to approach various viewpoints safely, from which the scale of the landscape becomes evident and silence takes center stage. This sense of vastness prepares the visitor for the next destination, where the contrast between water and land appears in a completely different way. Number 12. Skógafoss, Iceland. In southern Iceland, Skógafoss emerges as a solid and direct presence. With a 60-meter drop and a wide front, the waterfall forms a continuous curtain that falls steadily onto a base of volcanic rock. The open surroundings allow it to be observed from different angles, reinforcing its accessible yet monumental character. The landscape around it appears simple, but is deeply expressive. Green meadows extend to the edge, while dark cliffs provide contrast and depth. From the base, the constant sound creates an immersive sensation, while from the top, one can see the river continuing its course toward the coast. This balance between visual power and environmental clarity makes Skógafoss a perfect transition toward more complex settings, where the water begins to fragment and the landscape gains texture. Number 11. Gioc Dettian, Vietnam, China. On the natural border between Vietnam and China, the Kaieteur River unfolds into a set of waterfalls that seem to be part of the agricultural landscape. Gioc Dettian does not stand out for a single dominant drop, but for a series of stepped descents spread among green islets and terraced fields. The karst geology of the area shapes irregular cliffs that contrast with the softness of the water. At dawn, light passes through the mist and transforms every corner into a different scene. Designated paths allow visitors to explore the area in an orderly manner, respecting both the natural environment and local activities. This dialogue between nature and human presence introduces a new dimension to the journey, which intensifies as it moves toward territories where water falls from much greater heights. Number 10. Yosemite Falls, United States. In Yosemite National Park, water descends from polished granite walls that appear precisely carved. Yosemite Falls, with more than 730 meters divided into 3 sections, changes noticeably with the seasons, offering a different experience each time. In spring, snowmelt amplifies the flow and fills the valley with sound and movement. In summer, the current softens and reveals the imposing structure of the rock. Trails and observation areas are designed to allow safe access, encouraging slow contemplation of the surroundings. This direct relationship between landscape and season sets the stage for waterfalls where water interacts with deep crevices and more abrupt forms. Number 9. Gullfoss, Iceland. Gullfoss lies within a fissure that seems to split the land in two. The Vita River flows steadily until it suddenly curves and disappears into a deep canyon. The waterfall combines 2 levels that create a sense of constant motion and clear direction. The open environment allows observers to see how light and mist alter the perception of the place. In winter, the landscape becomes quieter and more restrained. In summer, the water reflects the sky and the land takes on new tones. Walkways and viewpoints make for a safe and orderly visit. This respect for the natural environment connects with the next waterfall, where tropical climate introduces a completely different energy. Number 8. Jog Falls, India. In the state of Karnataka, the Sharavati River drops from a height of approximately 250 meters, splitting into several arms before reaching the valley. Jog Falls presents a vertical structure that transforms throughout the year depending on rainfall. During the wet season, the water spans the entire width of the cliff, creating a scene of great visual breadth. In drier periods, thin streams reveal the texture of the rock walls. The designated viewpoints offer wide, safe views, ideal for observing the evolution of the landscape. This constant change introduces the visitor to even more remote regions, where the sense of isolation becomes central. Number 7. Kaieteur Falls, Guyana. In the interior of Guyana, Kaieteur Falls unfolds in a virtually untouched environment. The Petaro River drops from a sandstone plateau in a single fall of nearly 250 meters, surrounded by continuous rainforest. The vastness of the space and the absence of visible infrastructure reinforce the feeling of being in a minimally altered place. Regulated access and guided visits ensure a safe experience that respects the surroundings. This direct connection with nature sets the mood for more accessible waterfalls, where interaction with the environment takes on different forms. Number 6. Seljalandsfoss, Iceland. Seljalandsfoss stands out for offering an immersive experience. A designated path runs behind the waterfall, providing an unusual perspective. With a 40-meter drop, the water flows in front of a vegetation-covered wall. Light constantly changes the appearance of the place, creating soft reflections and calm atmospheres. Controlled access ensures a safe visit, even under changing conditions. This intimate proximity leads to one of the most famous waterfalls in the world. Number 5. Niagara Falls, Canada, United States. Niagara Falls do not present themselves as a single isolated drop, but as a broad and continuous system, where water advances without pause, setting the rhythm of the landscape. The river flows with hypnotic consistency until it reaches the edge, where it plunges into a relentless mass of water that fills the air with moisture. The rising mist is not a minor detail. It envelops the entire area and makes the presence of the falls felt even before they are seen. The site is prepared to be observed from many angles. Lookouts, walkways, and elevated points allow visitors to appreciate the spectacle both in daylight and at night, when lighting transforms the water into a shifting stage. Even so, beyond the infrastructure, what truly stands out is the sensation of being near the edge. The constant sound, continuous movement, and vast scale create an experience that is hard to ignore. Although it is one of the most visited natural destinations in the world, Niagara retains a remarkable ability to impress. It only takes a few minutes of stillness, watching the endless flow and letting the surroundings do the rest. It is not just a recognizable image, it is a place experienced through the senses, reminding us how water, with patience and persistence, can dominate the landscape. This sense of presence and continuity serves as a perfect prelude to even more expansive settings later in the journey. Number 4. Victoria Falls, Zambia, Zimbabwe. For kilometers, the Zambezi River advances calmly, almost silently, as if taking its time before revealing what lies ahead. Its surface appears tranquil, wide, predictable. Yet this serenity breaks abruptly when the water reaches the edge of a 107-meter abyss and transforms into an immense, uninterrupted curtain. From afar, a white cloud rises above the landscape, announcing the falls long before they come into view. As one approaches, the surroundings change completely. The constant roar of water fills the air, while moisture envelops the landscape and softens its contours. Paths and platforms, well integrated into the environment, allow the falls to be observed from different points in an orderly and safe manner. Each viewpoint offers a distinct perspective. Sometimes the view opens toward the void. Other times it focuses on the details of water sliding over rock. The experience depends not only on what is seen, but on what is felt. The rhythm of the water, the suspended mist, and the vastness of the space create a deep sense of immersion. This setting does not seek immediate impact, but invites visitors to pause, observe, and be carried along. In this way, Victoria Falls mark a point of transition in the journey, preparing the eye and sensitivity for even more complex and surprising landscapes. Number 3. Iguazu Falls, Argentina, Brazil. Iguazu Falls do not appear as a single imposing leap, but as a broad and complex system stretching nearly 3 kilometers. Along this course, the river fragments into around 300 falls of varying shapes and sizes, creating a constantly moving landscape. Each section has its own rhythm. Some drops are powerful and direct. Others fan out in sheets of water that seem to float over the rock before disappearing into the depths. The entire system is wrapped in subtropical rainforest, a living environment that accompanies the experience at all times. The sound of water blends with birds, insects, and wind through the trees, generating an atmosphere that feels intense yet balanced. Humidity is always present, reminding visitors that here, water not only falls but defines the climate, color, and shape of the landscape. Walkways designed to integrate with the environment allow for a calm and safe exploration of the falls. Walking along them invites unhurried observation, stopping at each viewpoint and letting the gaze drift through mist and vegetation. The experience goes beyond sight. It is felt on the skin, in the ears, and in the breath. Iguazu conveys a sense of natural fullness, an equilibrium that prepares the spirit for landscapes of a different character, where the earth reveals its more mineral face. Number 2. Dettifoss, Iceland. Dettifoss is one of those places where nature's power is sensed before it is seen. The Jökulsá River flows through a landscape marked by ancient lava fields and suddenly plunges in a drop of about 45 meters, concentrating an enormous volume of water in a very small space. It is not an especially tall waterfall, but its presence is imposing from the first moment. The constant roar accompanies every step and helps convey the true scale of the place. The surroundings are austere, almost bare, formed by dark rock and uneven terrain that reinforce the feeling of being in a primordial setting. There are no elements to distract the eye. Everything leads toward the movement of water and the contrast between river and volcanic land. Access routes are clearly defined, allowing visitors to move calmly and stop at various points to observe how the waterfall changes with position and distance. Throughout the day, light transforms the landscape. At times, mist softens the forms. At others, clear skies highlight the contours of the land. Wind constantly alters the scene, making each moment slightly different from the last. Dettifoss does not seek to impress with ornamentation. It does so with authenticity. This direct, simple, and powerful experience leaves a lasting impression and prepares the visitor for the final stretch of the journey, where the magnitude of the experience becomes evident. Number 1. Angel Falls, Venezuela. In the heart of the Venezuelan rainforest, Angel Falls appears as an imposing presence that dominates the landscape with breathtaking naturalness. From the top of an isolated plateau, water begins a 979-meter descent that feels less like a sudden drop and more like a continuous, delicate gesture. As it falls, the flow breaks into fine strands dispersed by the wind, forming a suspended mist that envelops the surroundings and softens the scene. the sensation of witnessing it is not only visual. Humid air, the distant sound of water, and the surrounding green immensity create a shifting atmosphere where each moment feels different from the last. The waterfall does not seek to impose itself, it simply exists, reminding observers of the true scale of the land and the smallness of those who witness it. Carefully regulated access allows visitors to approach responsibly, respecting the balance of the environment and preserving the essence of the place. It is not about arriving quickly or seeing everything, but about observing calmly and letting the landscape set the pace. The combination of height, distance, and isolation turns the visit into a deeply reflective experience. Before Angel Falls, time seems to slow, and contemplation becomes a simple yet meaningful act. A direct connection with the vastness and serenity of nature. When the landscape teaches us to slow down, there are places where the rhythm changes without one realizing it. It does not happen all at once, but gradually, as everyday noise fades and the environment begins to fill all the space. In these landscapes, nature does not demand attention, it simply draws it in. The sound of water, the constant movement of wind, or the way light slides over rock invite one to pause and observe calmly. Exploring such settings is not about arriving quickly or collecting images, but about staying long enough to understand what is happening around you. Each waterfall, each valley, each trail has its own language. Some speak through force, others through the patient repetition of water falling again and again. By observing them, one begins to notice details that usually go unnoticed. The texture of stone, the changing color of water, the soft echo fading into the distance. These experiences remind us that nature does not operate in haste. Everything we see took time to form, and understanding it requires the same attitude. Walking slowly, listening, respecting marked paths, and accepting that not everything must be controlled are part of the learning process. Traveling to these places leaves more than visual memories. It leaves a sense of balance, a simple connection with the environment. And that feeling often stays with the traveler long after returning, reminding them that sometimes moving forward also means knowing when to stop. Water as the memory of the landscape. Water has a quiet way of telling stories. Closing. Throughout this journey, it becomes clear that getting closer to nature is far more than moving from one place to another. It is a way of learning without books, of understanding the world by observing calmly and letting the landscape speak for itself. Each waterfall we have visited offers a different experience. Some impress with their height, others with their surroundings, others with the feeling they awaken when heard, or simply contemplated in silence.